The black warship was quiet inside, almost too quiet. Kayla walked through a long metal hallway surrounded by human soldiers in dark armor. They didn't talk. They didn't even look at her. Their footsteps made soft thuds on the floor. Everything felt controlled, cold, perfect. Kayla had never seen anything like this ship. It didn't smell like oil or sweat. The walls were smooth and shining. No wires showed. No sparks flew. The air was cool and dry, like the ship was alive and breathing slowly. She had been on Threxeri warships before. They were loud, full of shouting and metal grinding. This was different. This was a ghost ship. A ghost ship that had just broken into the most secure Threxeri prison in the galaxy, and taken her like it was nothing. The human woman who led them, the one with the scars, stopped in front of a thick door. She looked back at Kayla. "This is your room. You're safe here." Kayla looked at her, unsure. "Why are you really helping me?" The woman didn't answer right away. Then she said, "I'm Captain Rain, and we don't leave truth speakers behind." Kayla didn't understand, but she nodded. Inside, the room was small but clean. A soft bed, a table, a screen on the wall showing stars outside. It was better than any room Kayla had ever had on her father's ships. She sat down slowly. She had so many questions, so much fear. Were they going to use her, trade her? Why had they risked a war to save her? But there was no time to think. An alarm rang through the ship. The lights changed from white to blue. Kayla jumped up. She ran to the door, but it didn't open. A soft voice spoke from the ceiling. "Please remain calm. We are being followed." Followed? By who? Kayla pressed her ear to the wall. She could hear the hum of the ship getting louder, faster. The warship was preparing to jump. Then the voice came again, cold and steady. 6 enemy ships approaching. Threxeri class. Weapons armed. Shields up. She felt the floor shake. Outside the window, flashes of light appeared in the dark. Lasers, missiles, explosions. Kayla stared, heart pounding. And then, silence. The stars stopped moving. A door opened behind her. Captain Rain stepped inside. "They won't follow us again." Kayla stood up. "You destroyed them?" Rain didn't smile. "We gave them a chance. They didn't take it." Kayla swallowed hard. "You're not like the stories." Rain looked at her closely. "And you're not like your people." There was a long silence. Finally, Kayla asked the question burning in her mind. "Why did you come for me?" Rain walked to the window and stared into space. "Because once you told the truth. You said we were more than monsters, and in this galaxy, people like you disappear. But we don't forget our friends." Kayla sat down, slowly understanding. Rain turned back to her. "There are others like you, others who saw through the lies. We help them when we can, but it's never easy." Kayla felt cold. "They'll come after you now. The whole galaxy." Rain nodded. "They already are." Kayla looked down at her hands. "I never meant to start a war." Rain's voice was quiet. "You didn't. The galaxy did. The day it chose fear over truth." Outside, the stars kept moving. Kayla didn't know where they were going. She didn't know what would happen next. But deep inside, for the first time in years, she felt something new. She felt safe. And that terrified her more than anything. The black warship moved through deep space like a shadow. Silent, fast, invisible. Kayla stood by the window, staring at stars she didn't know. Captain Rain had said they were going to a safe zone. But in a galaxy that feared humans, did such a place even exist? She still didn't know why the humans had saved her. But now, because of it, every powerful species was angry. They weren't just looking for her. They were hunting the entire warship. Across the galaxy, alerts were spreading. Human warship spotted near Sector 9. Contact with Station Zarnok lost. Threxeri girl believed to be on board. Kill on sight. The humans knew, and they were ready. Inside the ship, things had changed. Soldiers moved faster. They stayed armed, even when eating. Lights dimmed when Kayla walked through the halls. She wasn't a prisoner, but she wasn't just a guest either. She could feel it in their eyes. Some of them didn't trust her. One soldier even whispered, "She's the reason we're being chased." Captain Rain heard everything, but said nothing. Until one day, Rain called Kayla to the command deck. The room was wide and dark, glowing with blue lights. Maps floated in the air. Kayla saw dozens of red marks, enemy ships. "We have a problem," Rain said, arms crossed. Kayla stepped forward. "What kind of problem?" Rain pointed to a red mark blinking faster than the others. "A bounty hunter." Kayla's stomach dropped. "He's not part of the fleet. He works alone, fast ship, no crew, just him and his weapons." Kayla asked, "Why is that a problem? You destroyed 6 warships before." Rain didn't smile. "This one's different. He doesn't fight wars. He ends them." Kayla looked closer. The screen showed a silver, snake-shaped ship. Fast, small, deadly. Rain said his name like it was poison. "Tarnvox." Kayla whispered, "Who is he?" Rain replied, "The galaxy's most feared killer. Threxari trained, but no one owns him now." Kayla stared at the blinking mark. "He's coming for me, isn't he?" Rain nodded, "And he won't stop until you're dead." That night, the ship went dark. Every hallway turned quiet. The humans locked down every door. Soldiers took turns guarding Kayla's room. And she sat on her bed, shaking, remembering the stories her people used to tell. Tarnvox didn't fail. He once took down a human destroyer with just one shot. No crew. No survivors. Now he was coming here. Then it happened. A whisper. A soft thud. Then silence. Kayla looked at the lights above, still glowing. But something was wrong. Then came a message. "Outer hull breach. Deck 3. Rain's voice followed, sharp and cold. "Everyone to battle stations. He's inside." Kayla ran to the door. It opened fast. Soldiers ran past her, shouting. Alarms flashed red. Then a scream. Gunfire. Then nothing. The silence returned. Kayla ducked into a corner. She heard heavy footsteps down the hall. Too light for human boots. Too soft for any normal soldier. Something moved fast across the hallway. Just a blur. A shadow. Kayla held her breath. He was here. Tarnvox. She heard a voice behind her. "You're not safe here." She turned, Captain Rain, bleeding but alive. Rain grabbed her arm. "Follow me. No matter what happens, do not stop." They ran. The halls were dark now. No lights. No voices. Only the sound of something following. Kayla didn't look back. Rain opened a sealed door and pushed her inside. "Hide in here. Lock it. Don't make a sound." Kayla tried to speak, but Rain shook her head. "We'll handle them. Trust us." The door sealed. Darkness again. Kayla pressed her back to the wall, heart pounding, tears in her eyes. Outside, the sounds of battle began again. Then a roar. A flash. A silence so deep it made her ears ring. Kayla whispered to herself, "Why me? Why save me?" And then, a new voice. Not human. Not Rain. It came from the shadows. "Because you are the spark they fear." Kayla looked up, terrified. But no one was there. Only darkness. And a soft hum of the warship preparing for its next move. Kayla sat alone in the cold cell, her wrists locked in metal cuffs. The air smelled like old metal and fear. Around her, the prison station floated high above a burning red planet. It was called Station Zarnok, and no one came here unless they were meant to disappear. Kayla was not a soldier. She was not a killer. She was just a girl. only 17 cycles old. But today, the guards called her traitor. Today she was to be cleansed. She had not broken any law. She only spoke a truth no one wanted to hear. She said humans were not monsters. In the galaxy, humans were feared by all species. Their warships had destroyed empires. Their soldiers had ended wars in days. No one trusted them. No one forgave them. Children across the stars were taught to stay quiet, or the humans will come. Even our own people, the Thrixari, told horror stories of human cruelty. But Kayla remembered something different. When she was a child, her father's ship had crashed near the border of human space. Only she had survived. And when the cold and darkness took over, someone had found her. A human. He had wrapped her in a blanket, fed her, and called for help. He didn't hurt her. He saved her. No one believed her story when she returned. They said it was a lie, that the human tricked her, that she was brainwashed. But Kayla never forgot the kindness in that man's eyes. Now, years later, she stood in chains because of that memory, because she had spoken in front of the Thrixari Council and said, "We should speak to the humans, not fear them." That single sentence had destroyed her life. The door to her cell hissed open. 2 guards walked in, tall and cold, with sharp red armor and glowing eyes. "Stand," one said. Kayla didn't move. I said, "Stand." He grabbed her arm, pulled her to her feet. They dragged her down a long, narrow hallway. Lights flickered. The metal floor echoed under their boots. Other prisoners hid in the shadows. No one spoke. Everyone knew where Kayla was going. The cleansing room had no windows, no noise, just light and the sound of machines. Suddenly, the lights turned red. Sirens began to scream. The ground shook. Boom. Something massive had hit the station. Guards shouted into radios. Weapons clicked on. Kayla looked around, confused. "What's happening?" she asked. Silence. A guard shouted, pushing her forward. Then, a second boom, closer this time. The station leaned to the side. Alarms flashed everywhere. The screens showed a black shape outside, fast, huge, and impossible. "A ship," someone yelled. "It's a warship." Another screen zoomed in. Kayla's eyes went wide. The ship was black as night, shaped like a blade covered in moving parts. The symbol on the front was clear. A silver circle with 3 stars. A human warship. The guards froze. One dropped his weapon. "That can't be," he whispered. "They wouldn't dare come here." But the ship didn't fire. It just floated near the station like a shark watching from deep water. Then all the doors on the station locked. Lights flickered. And a voice, deep, calm, and cold, spoke through every speaker on the prison. "Release the girl." The guards stared at each other in horror. Release the girl. Kayla couldn't believe what she was hearing. The humans were here for her. Why? Before anyone could move, the door behind them exploded. Fire, smoke, and shadow poured in. Figures stepped out, tall, silent, wearing dark armor with glowing blue eyes. Human soldiers. They didn't attack the guards. They didn't fire. One of them pointed to Kayla. The leader stepped forward, removed her helmet. A woman with short black hair and a scar across her cheek. Her voice was quiet, but strong. "Kayla Thrixar, we're here to take you home." Kayla stared at her, too shocked to speak. This couldn't be real. One of the guards raised his weapon. The human soldier raised her hand. "Don't." The guard hesitated, then dropped it. Another boom rocked the station. The humans moved fast, forming a wall between Kayla and everyone else. One gently unlocked her cuffs. "You're safe now," he said. Kayla whispered, "Why are you helping me?" The human looked at her, calm and serious. "Because you saw the truth. That's enough for us." They led her out, back toward the black warship, waiting like a ghost in space. As they moved, more alarms rang. Enemy ships were coming. A trap? A war? Kayla looked back once at the station that had become her prison, and then forward to the humans no one understood. The galaxy would never forgive them for this. But maybe, just maybe, Kayla had never been safer. The human warship floated in the dark, facing a wall of enemy fleets. Over 30 ships, all armed, all ready to destroy. But this time, the humans didn't run. They stood still, waiting, watching. Captain Rain stood tall on the command deck. Her voice was calm, even as alarms blinked red all around her. Let them fire first. Kayla stood beside her, eyes wide with fear and wonder. Why wait? Rain looked at her, eyes sharp. Because this time they need to know what they're starting. Seconds passed. Then the enemy opened fire. A wave of light tore through space, lasers, plasma, antimatter rounds. It looked like the end of everything. Kayla held her breath. But the ship didn't move. Instead, the core glowed brighter. And then the human warship vanished. Not destroyed. Gone. The enemy blasts passed right through empty space. Kayla gasped. Where did we go? Rain smiled. Not where. When. Kayla blinked. What? The ship's voice filled the deck. Timefold protocol engaged, returning in 4.7 seconds. The warship had folded time, slipped forward through the attack, untouched. Then, in one heartbeat, it reappeared. Right in the center of the enemy fleet. Too close for any of them to react. The ship unleashed its fury. No warning. No mercy. Just light and death. Lasers cut through metal like paper. Plasma beams sliced across warships. Shockwaves shattered shields. Within 10 seconds, 5 enemy ships were gone. Exploded. In silence, Kayla stared at the chaos, heart pounding. Rain didn't blink. That was for the lives they erased. Another 5 ships tried to run. Too late. The human warship moved like a storm, faster than thought, smarter than any AI. It predicted every move, every jump, every escape path, and blocked them all. Kayla whispered, "It's not just a ship. It's a weapon of memory." Rain nodded. "It remembers every wrong, and it writes its answers in fire." More enemy ships exploded. Some turned on each other in panic, not knowing where the real threat was. Then a message came in. From the last commander of the enemy fleet. "Cease fire. We surrender. We didn't know, please." The message cut off. Not because of humans, because their own side silenced him. Even in defeat, they couldn't show weakness. Rain turned to her crew. "Stop firing." The guns powered down. The stars fell quiet again. Kayla looked around at the wreckage. Only one ship stood in that space. One. The human warship. Silent. Watching. Alive. Later in the calm, Kayla stood with Rain near the core. "You could have destroyed them all." Rain nodded. "We could have. But this was never about war." Kayla asked, "Then why did you fight?" Rain looked at her, serious and calm. "Because the galaxy needed to see the truth. They needed to see that humans remember who shows kindness, and they never forget who shows cruelty." Kayla said softly, "And what happens now?" Rain smiled. "Now, they know what happens when you push a quiet race too far." The ship hummed gently. Its lights calm again. Kayla looked into the glowing core. "What happens to me?" Rain answered without pause. "You live, you lead. You remind the galaxy what courage looks like." Weeks later, a message was sent across every channel, every language, every world. A broadcast from Kayla. She stood alone on the bridge of the human warship. "You feared humans, you mocked them, called them monsters, but you were wrong." She paused. "They had every reason to burn your fleets, but they stopped, not because they couldn't win, but because they chose peace over revenge." She looked directly at the camera. And they saved me, a girl the galaxy forgot just because I believed in truth. The stars behind her glowed bright. If this ship ever returns to your system, remember this: it does not come to destroy. It comes to remind you what happens when you silence voices that dare to speak. She smiled softly. The future is not made by fear. It's made by fire, and by those brave enough to carry it. The screen went black, and across 1,000 worlds, silence followed. The galaxy had learned one thing: never underestimate the humans, because when the future burns dark, they are the fire that walks through it. Kayla sat alone in the sealed room. The lights were low and her breath was shaky. Outside, there was silence. Captain Rain had told her not to move, not to speak. So she waited. But time moved slowly, and fear moved faster. Then, a soft beep. The wall beside her lit up. A message appeared. Tarn Vox neutralized. Area secure. Remain in position. Kayla didn't know whether to feel relief or fear. She opened the door slowly. The hallway was dim. Smoke filled the air. Soldiers moved past, some limping, others carrying the wounded. No one spoke. The air was heavy. She walked to the command deck. Captain Rain stood there, blood on her sleeve, her eyes tired but focused. Kayla asked, "He's gone?" Rain nodded. "Barely." Kayla looked around. "How did you beat him?" Rain didn't answer. Instead, she turned to her second officer. "Show her." The officer tapped a screen. A new map appeared, lines, circles, and strange symbols. Kayla didn't understand any of it. Rain explained, "This is the core code of our ship. What makes it move, think, react." Kayla frowned. "So, every ship has code." Rain leaned closer. "But ours doesn't follow logic. Not normal logic." She pointed to one glowing section of the screen. "It learns, it adapts, and sometimes it decides." Kayla blinked. "Your ship is alive?" Rain shook her head. "Not alive, but aware." Kayla stepped back. "That's not allowed. The Galactic Treaty banned all sentient machines." Rain's voice turned quiet. "That's why we didn't sign the treaty." Kayla froze. She had heard rumors, stories about human ships that moved like beasts, that dodged plasma blasts before they were fired, that hunted like predators. But she thought they were just stories. Now she was standing inside one, and the warship had just made a choice to save her. Kayla looked at the screen again. "Why me? Why risk everything for me?" Rain didn't speak for a moment. Then she tapped another file. A hologram appeared. Kayla's face, younger, maybe 10 years old. She was speaking in front of a group of Threxari elders, defending peace with humans. "I said those things when I was a child." Rain nodded. "And your people tried to erase that video. But we found it. We remembered." Kayla stared at her younger self. "They punished me for speaking truth. My own father locked me away." Rain nodded again. "That's why we came. You were a light in the dark, even if no one else believed we did." Kayla turned to look at the star map again. Red dots were appearing all around. "Are we surrounded?" "Yes," Rain said calmly. "And what are we going to do?" Rain smiled just a little. "We're going to show them what truth backed by firepower looks like." That night, Kayla couldn't sleep. She wandered the ship, passing quiet rooms and humming machines. Then she found herself in the ship's core. A giant glowing sphere floated in the center, pulsing like a heart. A voice spoke from behind her. "You feel it, don't you?" It was Juno, the young soldier who had helped her when she first arrived. Kayla nodded. "It's like it's watching." Juno smiled. "It is. The ship knows everything inside it. It remembers pain and loyalty." Kayla whispered, "But how?" Juno tapped the glass of the glowing core. "There was a scientist, human, long ago. He tried to create something that could protect life, without being ordered, something that could choose who to save. Kayla looked into the glow. And it chose me? Juno nodded. Because you chose truth when no one else would. Suddenly, the alarm blared again. Warning. Multiple fleets entering system. Over 30 enemy ships. Kayla ran to the command deck. Everyone was moving fast. Rain stood at the center, calm as ever. The screen showed a storm of red marks, all closing in. Kayla gasped. There's no way out. Rain looked at her. There's always a way. Then the ship spoke. Not Rain. Not a soldier. The ship itself. Permission to defend? Granted. Initiating cloak reach protocol. Kayla blinked. What does that mean? Rain smiled. It means we stop hiding. The lights in the ship changed, deep red, glowing from every wall. The armor outside shifted, becoming darker, sharper. The ship roared, not from engines, but from something deeper, almost like a growl. Kayla watched the stars spin as the warship turned to face the fleets. For the first time, it wasn't running. It was ready to fight.